This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland. Our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy Game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the proceedings. And coming up, we're going to tell the story of a man who was truly larger than life and whose impact on the sport of football certainly is going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now, we've assembled a couple of rosters featuring some of Coach's favorite players from both yesterday and today. And Coach himself will be on the sidelines for both squads, trying to motivate his guys to victory. I'm joined now by my good friend Charles Davis. CD, your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loves so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football and brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
One time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy Game? And some good special teams coverage as they bring him down just outside of the 15. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think. Those early days as a coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s, Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
This is Eric Dickerson, four-time rushing champ. Despite a little power on the move, still tackled shy of the 20. So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft of 30 rounds then.
So the line of scrimmage moves all the way across the 50 now as they come up 1st and 10. Pushes past him. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles. You and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it was there during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his local football.
And he will carry this one in. Touchdown NFC. Eric Dickerson, a 3-yard touchdown run. And the NFC takes it all the way down the field to score on their opening drive. Well, first quarter, maybe too early to talk about statement drives, Charles, but that sure seemed like a statement drive right there.
Well, if we're going to talk about statement drives, I think what they're saying is we're going to establish the run. They gave it to him early and often on this drive, and he wound up taking it into the end zone.
Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. Taken from about the 12. And he'll go down as this drive will start at the 25-yard line. So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in the conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 3 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came out late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
On is the Hall of Famer Ray Guy to punt this away on 4th down. On the return, Hester. A very good return there. Give him an even 20 yards. And the NFC will take over 1st and 10. The NFC offense coming out here. And you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing.
Touchdown! Eric Dickerson with his 2nd touchdown here in this first half. And the NFC strikes quickly for 6. Morton Anderson now for the extra point. Now the NFC going to call the first of their 3 timeouts. They'll have 2 remaining as we step aside here in this 2nd quarter. The NFC going to line up and go for 2 here. They're going to keep it on the ground. And he is in to make it 16-0. I think we're sensing a trend here. 2 first-half touchdowns. After going for 2 after the first score, CD, I thought maybe they would kick the PAT here. No, they get 2 more.
No, they decided to really press the advantage because, remember, getting the 2 after the first score, you've already got the other team back on their heels if they're going to mount a comeback. But to go up 2 scores and 2 two-point conversions, you've really got them thinking on the other sideline.
Yeah, you got to wait until that ball goes 10 yards. They did not. They hit it before, and that draws the flag every time.
And there's no doubt in my mind that converting an onside kick has never been tougher in the NFL with the new rules. So trying to get it to 10 yards, timing up perfectly, that's tough enough to begin with. But when you go ahead and grab it before it goes, you got no shot then.
They fake the handoff. Now Brady. And he's got his big tight end over the middle, complete. Giving back-to-back catches now. That one for 16 and another first down. Now we give running left. It's Bettis. And he'll be stopped just outside the 5 at the 6. The 6-yard line, the line of scrimmage on 2nd and goal. Now a play fake, Brady. And that is caught for an AFC touchdown. Tim Brown from 6 yards away. And the AFC able to get a bit closer.
Hello. Tim Brown found the end zone for 100 receiving touchdowns on the nose during his 17-year career. But think about how he got to those 100. Strong physically, studied the heck out of the game, superior route runner, and then when he caught the football, he turned into a running back, broke a ton of tackles in order to get those 100 touchdowns.
And those 100 touchdowns led him to 9 Pro Bowl appearances. And there's been a Terry now to kick it away after the touchdown. Here comes Devin Hester bringing it out. Oh, good return up past the 30. And able to break this out all the way to the 38-yard line. Great return. Hey, we want to let you know, give you a fair warning that coming up at halftime, the folks at EA Sports have put together a very nice package in tribute to Coach Madden. So make sure you stick around for that. Again, coming up at halftime. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression, commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the Mad Stork himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrom, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories. I'm not sure how much more evidence they need, partner, than to understand that if they don't start to slow him down, it's going to be a long afternoon here at the stadium because he is just shredding them at this point. And let's face it, coming into the game, they knew he would be the focal point of their attack. This is going to take an 11-man unit on the defensive side to start making plays.
And here he'll get it down to the 7. 5 yards is the tally on first down. That brings up 2nd and 5. So we're at halftime of the John Madden Legacy game, and now we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley. We now proceed to the start of the second half. Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducted coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. Now the second half forthcoming from Oakland. Now the AFC making their way out, and it's one of Coach's favorites, another local guy, Tom Brady, who will be at the controls. And boy, Coach always admired the way number 12 could run an offense, and especially his ability to stay calm under pressure.
Tom Brady is a guy who's always looking downfield. He never looks at the rush. He hangs in the pocket, and he makes a throw. He's a cool guy. He's a tough guy. Let me tell you, there's no one calmer in the pocket than Tom Brady.
And I know that Coach has a great appreciation for Tom Brady. He turned 45 back on August 3rd because Coach coached a guy like him in George Blanda, who played a long time in the NFL. In this game, it features legends and active players. Tom Brady qualifies as both.
So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. He did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone. I'd say it's not panic time yet, but let's be honest about it. Empty possession here, not what you're looking for when you're down a couple of scores.
Absolutely not. Trying to start the second half off on the right foot. Unfortunately, going to give the ball up. Here's Ray Guy now as he'll kick it away for the second time. 40 yards on the punt, 2 on the return. And it will be 1st and 10 as they take over. The NFC heading back out. Hall of Famer Randy Moss a part of this offense. And Coach Madden, boy, he always appreciated the ferociousness with which number 84 attacked the football in the air.
As Randy Moss says, just chunk it up there, dog, and I'll go get it.
And, Coach, boy, did he ever go get it. Over 15,000 receiving yards, 156 touchdowns. And how about this? From his rookie year of 1998 until 2009, those were his prime seasons, right? He led the league in touchdowns 5 times, but even more so, he showed us all how to go up and get it. Great body control. No one's ever done it better playing the ball in the air.
There he goes, right side. And all the way in for the touchdown. Eric Dickerson, 84 yards. And they are able to add on to their advantage.
Partner, they had a good lead as they went in at the half, and they came out here in the second half and found a way to extend it. I love their consistency. Don't worry about what they said at halftime. This seemed like a team that was ready to play 60 minutes, and while this game is far from over, I love their approach.
And so they run it in on the 2-point try, and so often, Charles, we talk about from the offense's perspective what you do on the 2-point conversion. How about the defense? How do they play run versus pass?
It's really difficult for them because I think most teams want to play for the pass. That's what they see most teams do. And so are you able to mass enough people inside if the team decides to run it? Very difficult. I think what you're seeing a lot more now, people blitzing the 2-point conversion. They want you to make a quick decision and make it right now.
There, the offense wins the battle for 2. Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. This fielded right at the goal line. And good coverage there on special teams as they'll get him down shy of the 20. And the AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he could shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career. A 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady has more. There are 6 guys in the 15,000-yard receiving club. He's the only tight end in there. Tony Gonzalez, every snap he had to...
Allen hit. He lost the football. And it's scooped up by the NFC. And his guys are going to take over at the 21-yard line. Well, if these guys wanted to get back in this game, they needed an almost perfect second half. And down 3 scores, a lost fumble here certainly doesn't fit into that plan.
That reminds me of my plan in college to get an A on the papers I turned in, but that didn't work out too well either. Too many mistakes by both of us. I mean, that's just pure and simple. And that's why that's exactly where they are in this ball game. They're going to need a huge turnaround if they want to try and win this one.
And he is in. Touchdown NFC. Eric Dickerson, a 21-yard touchdown run. And the NFC able to capitalize on that fumble recovery and turn it into 6. They're going to try and run.
You ain't going nowhere.
And he is into the end zone again as he scores both the touchdown and the 2-point conversion to extend this lead. Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. Taken from about the 12. And good starting field position. He'll get this one all the way up to about the 35-yard line. The offense for the AFC set to go now. And really, Charles, not much of a surprise that they're losing. They just haven't been able to get much of anything going in the past. And now a fumble. Brady loses the football. And it's scooped up by the NFC. And he will take this back. A fumble return for an NFC touchdown. Huge, huge play by the defense, not only to force the fumble, obviously, but to return it for a touchdown.
And I know it's no fun for anyone who plays offense, but isn't it fun to see how a defense rallies when there's a fumble return and everyone tries to find someone to block and bring it all the way home?
I always like their celebrations because they don't get there that often.
No, they're not choreographed very well usually.
The defense more than did its job. Now the offense is summoned onto the field as they'll go for two. They'll try and run it here. And they're a perfect 5 for 5 now on two-point conversions as he is in to get them two more.
I think this is just going to be a function of the times we live in now. Very similar to the bat flip in baseball. Everyone's got to start to get comfortable with this. But to me, this is just rubbing it in. You got a big lead. Go ahead and take the extra point. One thing to keep in mind, though, karma's still out there, and sometimes it has a way of catching up with you.
And able to get this out to the 25. The AFC offense set to take their next drive. And here we are almost through 3 quarters of play, and this passing game still has not really found any kind of rhythm.
Put it mildly, because they're not even over 100 yards yet. And in today's...
And now look at this. Big gain, but a fumble. And it's scooped up by the NFC. And they get the football. They'll set up shop at their own 49-yard line. Obviously, you got to hold on to the football, but I've got to give credit to the defense there. Good job of knocking it free.
Yeah, because a lot of the time we just blame the offensive players for not taking care of it. How about the effort of the defensive players knowing that guys are going to, and if they're good, anticipate the contact coming and try and cover up the football. And they still find ways to knock it free.
Let's go.
They've got good starting field position as they come up here 1st and 10. Just shy of midfield at the 49. They'll start this drive out on the ground. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
Back now here on EA Sports. And this is a blowout so far as we get set for the 4th quarter. A very one-sided affair. Going to try to throw for it with Montana. And they're going to try the screen. It's complete. And unable to break away. They stop him a few yards shy. The drive starts with a run by Allen. And a lane slow and materializing there as he'll get maybe a yard up to the 45. As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you're talking about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him. And now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving. When you use words like boom and pow, he helped create the old Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
On 4th down, the punt team is on as this is sent away. And problems spreading to the punt team now. This one goes all the way into the end zone on the fly, so that'll come back to the 20. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. This has really just been a lopsided affair. What a performance they put on, and now they get the football back here with a big lead in the fourth quarter. You know, the pass. Some dinner plans, talking about steak and sushi, whatever the case is, CD. This ball game is pretty much well in the books.
Yeah, we really could have started bringing up dinner a long time ago if we wanted to, partner. And I think a few of the guys out in the field already making plans for the evening.
Only a couple there as he'll be brought down about the 28. So 2 minutes to play in the John Madden Legacy game, and the NFC well in control. And we'll be back to Oakland after this. They'll come to the line, needing only 2 yards to gain the first here. On third down, they go to Dickerson. And some room to maneuver. And they are going to score again. Yet another touchdown as they just add to their totals. Well, when coaches come into a game preaching total team effort, CD, I think this is the type of ball game that they're dreaming of. It was pretty apparent early on that they were clicking in all 3 phases. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, sometimes in the NFL you end up with matchups like we've been watching here. And when you go back to the early drives, you can just see that one squad was on a different level in this game. Safe to say, we have been disappointed in watching their execution throughout this contest.
The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. Now they are really in the driver's seat here, enjoying this lead late in the fourth quarter. The defense does have all 3 timeouts, but at this point, doesn't look like it's going to matter much. Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for. It's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told them, call me when it's 11-on-11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden, the video game, continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way. And John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies. And Brady's throw there, incomplete.
They lead big, and a major part of that has been how they've taken their play to a whole new level this second half. No points allowed since the break, and you can add another incompletion to the total number that they forced.
Oh, he can't get away, and Brady will go down.
Holding, offense.
So they will take the sack instead of the penalty.
And it takes another down off the series. But the biggest one of all, do you want to tell the guy who just got the sack that it no longer counts?
No.
No, not at all.
And he fires one that's intercepted. Deion Sanders, the Hall of Famer, with a pick. And he's going to bring this one back for an NFC touchdown. Well, this one was already ugly, and now it's just kind of becoming a feast on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, partner, this is a unit that knows they've got this game in the bag with this huge lead. And it's going to drive their coaches crazy because they're telling them, play it straight, do all the right things. But these guys are going to be freewheeling now. All of them are going to take chances. And that one pays off with an INT and a return for 6.
The defense more than did its job. Now the offense is summoned onto the field as they'll go for 2. Now a toss coming right side. Dickerson. And boy, talk about adding insult to injury. He's into the end zone to tack on 2 more. Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. Taken at the goal line. And his guys will get the football right at the 20-yard line. The offense for the AFC set to go now. Where we stand right now in the fourth quarter, this one pretty much out of reach. And, Charles, I know they're going to be disappointed about several things with it. Looking for his tight end Gates, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Deion Sanders. And he's going to bring this one back for an NFC touchdown. So this defense doubling its pleasure there. Remember, they had the fumble return for a score earlier in the game, and now this time an interception return for another score. The defense more than did its job. Now the offense is summoned onto the field as he'll go for two. Now a toss coming right side. Dickerson. And they are just not going to let up as he is into the end zone here for two more.
Well, I guess when you're hot, you're hot. I mean, I would just go ahead and take the extra point and move on, but apparently they've got something to prove. Almost feels like something was said this week, and they wanted to make sure that they laid it on them in this game.
Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. And a short kick taken at about the 16. And he's up across the 25 and down at the 28. The AFC offense set to take their next drive. This is just an exercise in futility. Do you even bother running a play here offensively?
I wouldn't, because now is not going to erase what's happened during the game. So after it's over, you're going to go to the film, find out where the game was really.
So it's a win here for the NFC. Just an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. And before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA.